Hi everyone, I'm Mike Abadi and welcome back to VTblogosphereTV, and I am pleased and proud to say that we have hit the milestone episode 40, a number of great biblical significance, so it makes perfect sense that we have theologian.
Biblical significance?
Yeah, 40 days and all that.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking, wow, it's more than Star Trek, wow. Okay.
It's a 5-year mission. Actually, our 4-year anniversary is coming up next month. Thank you.
So I was there in the first year.
You were on episode 4. There's 4, 40, and 4 years. Crazy convergence of numerological significance.
Oof.
But
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No, I mean today. I mean for the whole thing, you know.
Yeah, you got us launched really well. You were one of the foundational guests.
Oh, jeez.
And I appreciate you coming back to get. I have been asked to describe what you've been up to, and the best thing I can come up with
Who asked you that?
A number of people. I'm not at liberty to disclose. But the best I can come up with is I'm calling it anthropological photo blogging. Is that a reasonable label for what you're up to?
Well, it's called urban exploration.
Urban exploration.
That's the.
Oh, that sounds.
But
that sounds cleaner.
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that it's all right. You want to hear the real story about how I got into this?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how this is crazy, all right? You know how we all have recurring dreams over the. You'll have that weird dream again that you keep eating an Oreo cookie or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the recurring dream themes I've always had is being in like an endless house. This endless house. Just. It's kind of cool, just keeps going hallway. And not like a nightmare scenario. It's usually a little bit creepy, whatever. And I don't know. I was on the internet one night, and I found this website called Opacity. Opacity.us. It's probably the most incredible website you could look at for this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And the guy was in abandoned castles, abandoned mental institutions, the abandoned Studebaker factory, just. And being a really good photographer, the guy, he knew how to frame everything just right, the decay, the darkness, and I must have been up till like 4 o'clock in the morning that night, just looking at every picture on this guy's site. And
some of those photos reminded you of your dream life?
A little bit. I think that's why I connected a little bit.
Yeah.
Dream life. Now, don't get all new age on me here.
Well, you were talking about dreams.
I know. But anyway,
language police.
I have a skeptic reputation to uphold here.
Yeah, that's why I threw the 4 to biblical significance in there, just to irritate you, and it worked. And you know what it actually made me do? Is not properly introduce you. 5 Before Chaos, people. Okay. J.D. Ryan, publisher.
Yeah, it would help if you knew who I was, I guess. So I was like, oh, well, how do I go about this? And then I started researching and finding out that there's the Northeast is actually probably the best place in the country for it, because we had a lot of mental institutions,
right.
70s, 80s, I always struggle on this word, deinstitutionalization happened, and a lot of these places, they couldn't keep up. They were, like the Hudson River, the one we're going to look at first, I don't know if they're like a 600-acre, some ridiculous, and
a full-on residential facility.
But they can't keep that place open when they have 80 patients in it or something. And
right.
What I noticed with these places when you go in there is they start closing down the top floors first.
Okay.
And then the rainwater comes in, and then each.
Oh.
That's what happened
with
the
Adler. You lose your roof first.
With the Adler or the Columbia, the hotel, the second hotel we're going to look at, they closed down the 5th floor after in the early 2000s because just weren't having enough guests, and so on and so forth. And I noticed without fail, every building I've ever been in, as you go up the stairs, every floor, the deterioration is worse and worse. Dust on the stairs, the peeling paint, everything.
So as you go upstairs, it's like walking backwards in time.
Kind of.
Further decayed.
Kind of. So that's how I got into the whole thing. It became an obsession with me. And then finding out that, I guess the glory years for a lot of this stuff was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. Because a lot of the Kirkbride asylums, Taunton State, Northampton, a lot of the ones in Mass, they've all just been destroyed.
Kirkbride is a company that ran them?
No, it's
overarching?
It's a system. It was a system, I think in the late 1800s, this guy Thomas Kirkbride, he believed in this form of therapy called moral therapy. And he believed that basically if you had patients farming, working, that would contribute to their mental health. So basically a Kirkbride was set up with a big, huge administration building like the one we're probably showing on the screen right now. And That was centered, and then there was a symmetrical male wing and a female wing. And then on the grounds, you'd also, I should have brought a map of a Kirkbride, maybe I'll send you one. And then on the grounds, you'd have like a chapel, eventually a power plant. It was like almost like a self-contained city.
Yeah.
So they, like I said, as the deinstitutionalization started, these Kirkbrides and these other hospitals started just getting abandoned, decrepit, and fell into ruin. But there's very few Kirkbrides. There's Greystone, where Woody Guthrie died. That's a Kirkbride. There's one in West Virginia that's still active that they give tours on. The Department of Homeland Security headquarters in Washington, D.C. is in an old Kirkbride.
Wow.
And Buffalo State Hospital is being restored. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So that's with the hospital. So I just kind of got in this one. What do I got to do? It's very secretive, you know, for obvious reasons. Just, you know, people don't want to tell you where something is or what they did to get there.
Right.
So you got to do a lot of homework and Google Maps type stuff. And
sure.
Okay, well look at that. Oh, that looks like a river. Oh, that looks like a railroad. You know, and then you go and you do your thing. And we can. There's let me see. There's Hudson River State Hospital, I guess, which we could talk about first. That's that closed. I want to say in 2001. Massive structure. The building, the main building that we showed there, that's on the National Register of Historical Places, but they've got no money to restore the place, so it's just sitting there rotting. A lot of these places too, the reason nothing happens to them is because they've got lead paint, they've got asbestos, so they just sit there and rot, and they can't clean out. Another one, Kings Park, the one we're going to look at after that, it's humongous. It's in a park now, down in Kings Park, Long Island. Okay. And you could drive right through it. All the buildings are just sitting there. They're abandoned and everything like that. There's tunnels that go in them. The tunnels all have asbestos in them. They can't afford to tear these things down, so they're just sitting there.
Right. Are they even behind chain link and
some are. Some are. There's this one photo, Building 93, Kings Park.
Right.
Cue photo. That's behind a big chain link fence. So, you know, some of them are, some aren't. They have security driving around some of these places.
Kings Park has a very grim, the photo that you took, you labeled violent. Was that the Violent Offenders Ward?
It was the Violent Women's Ward.
Okay.
It was where they put the violent women. You could see, I think, if I'm thinking of the right picture, the doors have the little tiny window. It's supposed to, something, yeah, that was like the Violent Women's Ward. In fact, there's a filmmaker who did a documentary in Kings Park. And I'm actually talking to certain people right now, Jack McCullough, you know, people that work in Vermont Mental Health, sure. To get her film up here. And she was in Kings Park in the 60s or whatever. And she went back, she got permission to go.
You mean as a patient?
As a patient. She went back, got permission to go in, she filmed it, she talked to all the patients that were there, and it's this really interesting documentary about mental institutions and stuff. So
I'd imagine the violent ward you would be court ordered to?
I would assume, well, I don't know about the legal, I would think the violent, just you're a violent patient. You know, I mean, like I said, I don't know a lot. I tend to, before I go to check out one of these places, I tend to look into the history of them and stuff, and you know, I mean, they have other places that look like the dorms in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know what I mean? Just a big room,
right?
You know, beds, little partitions and stuff like that. I mean, part of the problem with Kings Park, not Kings Park, Hudson was at one time it was overcrowded. You know, and I saw
it's massive. And
yeah,
it's overcrowded. Mostly in New York City.
The photo of the hallway in Kings Park, not Kings Park, Hudson, the one I showed you before the show is my favorite one.
Right.
That one, like I said, I saw a picture of that exact same shot from the 1800s with like beds in the hallways and, you know, 6 or 7 patients standing there. I mean, they were really overcrowded. Kings Park actually, I keep saying Kings Park, Hudson River had a really bad fire in 2007, and it completely destroyed the male wing of the hospital too. So when you go there, there's the female wing, which is in really sorry shape, and then the Kirkbride, a bunch of other buildings. There's a power plant with humongous turbines that are bigger than this building, smokestacks. A lot of these places have tunnels going under them, right? That they would, you know, transport patients or laundry or whatever. A lot of the tunnels are still, you know, passable and stuff like that. Rats, asbestos, you know, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So you're not a believer in ghosts and otherwise.
I'm glad you asked that, Mike. No, I'm not.
But looking at some of these photos, there's just, and I don't know how you did it in the photo, because you can actually there's a sort of presence of
you feel the
misery,
the bad energy.
Get
all woo for a second here. The bad energy.
Layers of bleakness.
Yeah, you can smell the aura.
So, and that's just looking at the photo. So
Right.
I'm just wondering the experience of being in.
It's me because I'm really big into history. With me, it's probably more that other aspect, like your mind just wanders. Just like if you ever see an old car in the woods, and somebody's going, maybe they'll sit in the old car and they'll just think of what went on in that car. It's kind of the same thing with me. I don't think of ghosts. Well, I did scare the crap out of myself once actually. It was on the top floor of the Kirkbride, and it's getting pretty windy. A lot of times as you go up, there's a lot of the windows and stuff are broken out and stuff. So stuff blows through there, and walking up there, and I start hearing like a little whispering noise. And we get closer and closer and closer, and there's this door, this door leading to something, and I just keep like, is somebody in here with a dog? What's going on? What's going on? We keep listening, keep hearing this whisper, and then we open up. Of course, we just see a breeze blowing some branch or something through. But that's probably the only really scary experience I've ever had there.
Okay, there's a picture in the Hudson River called exam table.
That was in the Cheney building. There's the Hudson River complex in Poughkeepsie, New York, is this humongous. I mean, it looks like a little mini town. It's got a morgue. It's got 2 or 3 chapels, and there's a newer building called the Cheney building. It was built in, like, I think 1958, and that's that. You could put that big picture up of the big, ugly 10-story behemoth, cold. None of the charm or the Gothic architecture or anything.
Yeah.
And that place was disorienting because we'd gone there in January, so it was cold. It was like 27 degrees, and we were probably in the Kirkbride for about 5 or 6 hours. So you get this weird sensory thing going after a while. You're just because you're constantly
Yeah.
And going in the Cheney was so disorienting because it's just this massive, ugly concrete structure where every hall looks symmetrical, so it's really easy to get lost and figure out where you are. There's a picture. What was cool about the Cheney building, there was that exam table, had red paint all over the place, looked like blood.
Yeah.
And there was also a room full of X-rays and CAT scans. Literally like knee-deep X-rays, CAT scans.
Just like a dumped file.
Talk about HIPAA violations, right? And then other folders that would say like AIDS, hepatitis, and they were just patient folders of people that had AIDS or people that had hepatitis. I mean, they just left this stuff. And what was cool is there's a picture, I gave it to you, it's a window of that X-ray room, and I just stuck a couple X-rays and CAT scans up in the window to get the light, but that was pretty cool. But Cheney was really cool, bizarre. The actual Kirkbride was really cool. I'm trying to think what else I think I gave you a few more on the Kirk.
Some of them was just gorgeous photography, like the Blue Room in the Hudson
The
River.
Blue Room was really cool. There's my favorite picture. One of the favorite pictures I've taken besides that hallway one was not the cafeteria. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, the wheelchair. We went up to the attic of the Kirkbride, and it's green room, and it's just this empty wheelchair just sitting there.
Yeah.
There's also a bunch of dentist tables, like dentist exam chairs. I was in the basement, and I see this dentist exam chair. And then I look up, and the ceiling had collapsed, and sitting right over the precipice is another dentist chair ready to come down.
Right.
A lot of different colors in these places. Peeling paint. It's amazing to watch a building deteriorate, because first it's not heated, okay, and before windows are broken and stuff, it's not heated, so you get more things crumble because of the heat, and then a window breaks, then another window breaks, then there's moisture getting into the building, and it's just this process of just this decay. I mean, almost like a human body in some ways.
But like a living. Yeah,
but Hudson River was definitely my favorite. Kings Park was really cool too. There was oh God, I don't know how many buildings were in that place. It was just, there's that building 93, which is that really humongous, ominous building. I didn't go into that one. Funny story I heard, I was reading the other day, somebody was in there, and I guess they had to go, I don't know how they got in, but they locked themselves into a closet, and so they had to call the police from their cell phone, from inside the, so I don't think that.
Wow, that building wasn't done with people yet.
Yeah,
huh?
I don't think that.
It missed consuming souls.
Well, another thing, yeah, right. You will not leave. And then another one that was cool in Kings Park. I think it was in the women's ward, is the 4th or 5th floor had, I see a door about to go in, it says something like, I don't know, don't go inside or something. So I go inside, of course. What are you supposed to do? And there's about 8 or 9 inches of pigeon poop in this entire section of the thing. I have a picture in there of somebody walking on it. I mean, we did not stay in there very quickly, but I mean, just walking on this pigeon poop everywhere. I mean, it's just, the fumes were pretty crazy. There was another hospital in Staten Island. It was an old hospital built during the WPA, and it was a children's hospital. That one was kind of weird. There was a lot of peel and paint and stuff. A lot of the
Is that Seaview? Do I get that one?
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes. You weren't supposed to say that, Mike.
Oh, we got to lean into it. Okay.
That's right. But it's on the internet. It's all on the internet, folks. That one, see these wards and just with baby cribs, beds, just
this one was just littered with
just baby cribs, and it's just, you know, you want to get into the creepy stuff, you can just hear the crying in the background and stuff like that. And across the street from that is a tuberculosis hospital from the 1800s, and I looked in there and I could see, you know, wheelchairs from the 1920s and stuff that were still sitting in there, and baby cribs from the 1920s.
Suffering is palpable.
It's in fact, they filmed. You remember the movie Jacob's Ladder with Tim Robbins? It was that weird guy. You remember that? Did you ever see that movie?
I never saw it.
He's just,
I know Tim Robbins.
He's not with. He knows Tim Robbins. So, wait. Which
Good
is
lefty, isn't he? Susan
yeah.
hubby?
They just split up. They filmed. There was this weird dream sequence in there where he's on a gurney and these doctors with like no faces are wheeling him through, and they filmed that on like the top floor of Seaview. So, these things all look like a Nine Inch Nails video. I mean, that's what they all look like if you just go into them. But
right, and you said the subculture that becomes fascinated with these abandoned buildings tends to be sort of a goth.
It's so not me. It's not, you know, this you know, slightly overweight 41-year-old Italian guy, you know, where it's mostly like, you know, a lot of goths and stuff like that, because I guess they're into the whole whatever. I don't know. I don't understand people. You know how I go. Right. But to switch to another track there, then there's the Borscht Belt.
This is your more recent.
Yeah, this was
what I'm going to call anthropological photo blogging, but it's actually called urban exploration.
This would be rural explanation if you think about it. As you probably know, or some of you probably know, back in the probably before World War II and in that period, probably for the 60s, the golden age of white dominance, as some people call it. Upper middle class Jews from New York would go up to the Catskills. They would have all these resorts and these hotels and spas and stuff, and there was Grossinger's, which I went to, but I didn't give you pictures of. I'll send you Grossinger's picture.
Okay.
There's Grossinger's, there's the Tamarack, which just burned down last month. There's the Pines, and all these other huge resorts. And then there's this town called Sharon Springs, north of the Catskills, and they had these sulfur springs there. They had these sulfur springs, you know, and this is back during the whole Road to Wellville. You ever seen that movie, the whole health craze?
Yeah, sure.
And so somehow, I guess, sitting in stinky sulfur water was supposed to be really good for you. It's kind of like homeopathy or something. And so there were these spas all over the place, and the town was just made up of boarding houses. I mean, you go, and now it's like a ghost town because you go there and they're trying to get a little hip thing going there again. But there's just these empty, humongous, you know, 6, 7-story houses all over the place, just rotting. And so there was two, the Hotel Columbia and Hotel Adler, and they, I guess before the war, they catered more to the middle class, wealthy Jewish clientele. Then after the Holocaust, there was a more of a lot of Holocaust survivors resettled up in this areas, in those areas. And it was interesting. Like in the Hotel Columbia, for example, you look and there's, you know, just a lot of Jewish prayer books. I think I took a good picture of like this prayer book just sitting on a. But the Adler and the Columbia, messing with this here for a second. The Adler and the Columbia, Adler was a pretty massive structure, like 5, 6 stories. It had down in the basement, it had these spa tubs. These spa tubs, and 50 or 60 of them. You go down, there's just these little rooms with bathtubs with sulfur water.
It doesn't look luxurious.
Not at all. Not at all. Looks like it smells like 55-year-old fat men or something like that. I can just picture my grandfather sitting down. Like, let's go to the Y. But what was cool about this last time, I started messing around with the HDR photography when you do the high dynamic range and you take multiple shots of the same exposure, overexposed all the way down to way underexposed, and you combine them in Photoshop, and then you get those. That's where I get those really vibrant.
Okay.
I got these really vibrant colors. The Adler's really funny because I think they decorated it redecorated in 1974.
Yeah.
And it closed in 2003 or 2004 or something, and they never bothered updating it. So you're going through and seeing this groovy foil wallpaper.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, you know, but they had a big lobby, big ornate lobby and marble and stuff like that, and lots of colors, a lot of really tacky colors in there. There's one picture, I don't think I have it on my tablet here, but it was of on the 5th floor. They had skylights.
Oh yeah.
And there's this toilet. I don't know how many pictures of toilets I've taken over this whole excursion. There's just something about a toilet in the right spot. It just makes a good picture. Right. I don't, you know, sometimes previous people who were going through the place before you decided to use the toilet.
That's right.
Let me take that. Oh, I'm not going to take that picture.
It's got a history.
There you go. Yeah, that one there. So the Adler was really cool, and it was just amazing how good a shape that place was in. I took another HDR photo of a hallway, and I was kind of shocked at how the colors came out. That came out really cool.
Yeah, really tough not to think of The Shining.
Yeah, hello, Danny. Yeah,
and even these, although they're resorts, there's an eerie quality. I don't know if it's just the decay or...
The decay has something to do with it. You know, I think, and it's funny though, a different vibe going into the hotels versus like going into an abandoned mental institution. You know, I mean, if there was suffering in the hotel, it was probably somebody really pissed off about his bill, or maybe somebody had a heart attack, or maybe drank or drowned in a pool. Yeah. But it's not the same, you know.
Right. There's still the aspect of both a resort and asylum have this sort of need to get away quality.
I think with one they don't have a choice though.
yeah, but there's this sort of
removing yourself from.
Yeah. That's why people come to Vermont, isn't it?
Yeah, to get away. Oh boy.
We're the asylum.
There was a lot of funky stuff. I found this room, they just stacked up a bunch of old TVs that looked like they were probably from like 1978 or something like that. And
yeah. I don't know how you captured the
the
pea green of the
I don't know what that means.
Wallpaper so well.
And then the Columbia, I took this one. You know, you're going down this drab hallway, and then you'd see this bright colored bathroom leap out, and I took this one and messed around with it in Photoshop, and it looks like something like a Lou Reed album cover from like 1980 or something like that. Like I picture somebody smoking a cigarette, looking kind of like strung out. But
yeah,
you know, there was little kitchenettes in the Columbia. This is another HDR photo I took of the piano,
incredible.
With the apple wallpaper and the tiger stripe piano.
Yeah, someone did it.
Those Hasidic people really knew how to party.
It was probably a good time had.
Actually, I think, you know, as I was going through it, because I found a lot of beer cans, and I don't think that, I think the Hasidic might have come there at a certain time, but I don't think like in the last years, I don't think this was a hopping Hasidic place with, you know, beer cans and stuff. In fact, I did find in a janitor's closet, probably the cleanest. You remember beer cans? This is before your time there, Sonny. Remember you had to open them with a.
Yeah, there was the tab that you could throw.
Before that.
And then there was the one you could.
Yeah, I found like a pile of beer cans in the janitor's closet, steel beer cans, not even rusted. Let me see, Peels.
People collect those, right?
Schlitz, Sunshine, Dobler, all these beers I'd never heard of before. And that's the other That's the other thing about these things. It's just like hiking. You know, leave only footprints. You know, because you know, I know people do go in there and just. The tagging, I remember when I was in Kings Park, I heard this banging, and there was somebody were just grabbing sinks or toilet bowls and just smashing them for fun, and just, I don't know.
The copper's probably all cleared out.
I'm too old for that. I just,
right.
You know, let's go smash some
sinks. Too much respect for the past.
Yeah. But, it's at the, what's cool about, to go back to Hudson River for a second, what was cool about that, it was, since it was built in the 1800s all the way up to the 70s, there was this rec place. It looked like kind of like a 1970s high school. It had a bowling alley. Some shoes there sitting on there still. There was a bowling alley, there was a cafeteria in there, there was a swimming pool, a basketball court, and then a tunnel in the basketball court that led into the you know, that you could go underground and go to the, I don't know what these people did there. It was,
well, I was wondering, are the grounds like for hiking and outdoor activities, or it really was?
No, I mean, there's a lot of greenery and open space, but like fields that I would assume back in the 1800s they were farming on and growing their own crops, but there's not like, because, you know, they want to keep an eye on everybody. They don't want people just hiking out in the woods and stuff, because then, you know, I'm sure some would, you know, but really something to see if you go on Google Earth and like look at some of them, and you see this sprawling, see the buildings and everything like that. And
you had a recent weekend visit to the Catskills and took these photos.
The ones
spring.
Yeah, that was 3 minutes ago. Just like the sign says, 3 minutes. That was 3 minutes ago. I mean, three weekends ago.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. There's not a lot left. I mean, that's the thing that kind of, like I said, it makes me kind of sad sometimes when I get on the urban exploration forums, and I see like, oh, blah blah blah, just burned down. Oh, blah blah blah, just, or like Norwich State Hospital down in Connecticut, right across from the casino. I've never been to that one, but that one gets too much use. And before the one thing that's probably working into the advantage of these places being preserved, or at least sticking around a little longer, is because of the crappy economy. They can't afford to go and destroy them or put up big condos and stuff like they wanted to, so they just sit there. But you
said there's a Home Depot near the Adler, or or the Hudson River?
The one, Hudson River. Just Home Depot's right there, and then you wouldn't even know if you were in the Home Depot that you wouldn't even know that what's next door. But
so a booming economy could say, so someone likes that land.
Well, a lot of these places were set up to be destroyed, and they were going to have condos and office complexes. Then
the plans are already on the book somewhere.
They were, but then the economy tanked. You know. Let's
slow everything down.
Yeah. So then that condo complex doesn't look so appealing anymore. Once you got to spend $15 million just to remove the asbestos from the buildings.
Right.
But so.
Do you have plans for another round, or you get sated after a visit?
Oh, it's horrible. It's because, you know, it's funny. Before I do this, I can't sleep for like 3 or 4 days. I just oh God, I got to do this. I have some plans. I have some plans in July, which I'll share with you when I get back.
Okay, great.
But
thanks for the tour of asylums and resorts.
All right, you got a bunch of pictures. So
yeah,
if you get tired of looking at my head on the thing there, just keep flashing pictures.
Yeah, thanks for sharing them.
Not a problem. And we didn't get to talk about Ron Paul.
No, we didn't.
But that's all right. I would have just
said 5 Before Chaos.
I would have just said nasty things anyway, because I think he's a lunatic. But
there's always quality at 5 Before Chaos.
Yeah, not so much quantity, but quality.
Yeah, we should have quality every time.
Well, good. I got my Ron Paul dig in there. I'm sated now. Now I'm really sated. But
I think we gotta. Yeah, I think we gotta respect the clock.
Okay.
So many. I'll try to get as many photos in. As I can.
All right.
And because they're so good. And visit 5 Before Chaos. I believe you are going to be getting these up quite soon.
Yes, this weekend I'm going to have. I'm going to put these Adler ones up, and I'm going to have a little link on the sidebar that you can just go to the previous.
Your previous one.
Yes.
All right. Keep urban exploring. And
keep Blogosphere TVing.
I got to do it. I got to break the 40 barrier.
Some people got to do it, right? Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Check out 5 Before Chaos, and definitely, respect those old buildings out there. And we'll see if our Waterbury complex goes.
People have actually gone into the Waterbury. I was reading on the thing. So, I went to Waterbury. I'm like, why? What? Look at paperwork. I mean, different strokes.
Good night, folks.
You know that people at the global level are looking at it and saying, okay, what's it going to look like? Where can we find out? Where do we start to look?
Well, you should look to the Congress, but they don't pay much attention either. And there will be a realignment, and there's a struggle going on with us who believe that we should have national sovereignty. We should be out of the UN, out of the World Bank, out of the IMF, and no world government. But that is the movement that we're going in. That is the direction that we're going in. But others are planning to go one step further. They weren't satisfied with Bretton Woods. They weren't satisfied with the dollar standard. Now they want to probably modify the special drawing rights of the IMF, which they tried and didn't fail. But they want to control capital, and they want to control the natural resources of the world. So, and they're not nationalistic at all. They believe in world government, and they're more out in the open now than they were 25 years ago.
Congressman, thank you very much. By the way, America, I mean, I hope I'm nuts. I mean, really, you've never met anybody who hopes he's wrong more than I am.